Happy Sunday. We're back on the couch. Welcome, everyone. I'm back at like 3 o'clock, like I said I would be. And we're here going to celebrate my 1 year anniversary as a working NP. I'm so excited to share with you the biggest lesson I learned in the last year. Um, and I think you'll find that helpful. So we'll go over the agenda real quick. So today we'll also get into our wellness. I'll have my lab results to go over with you. We'll talk about some questions I received about acne, give you an update on my weight loss journey. We'll talk about a social media tip, kind of a piggyback from last week. Um, mm, 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 mm. The latest when it comes to the Mahogany Telederm Nurse Internship, the Mahogany Dermatology blog, the Melanin Initiative podcast, of course, our DMV Dermatology NPPA group, and our new sister group down in Georgia, DERM NPs and PAs of Atlanta. And I think that's the main thing. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Dr. Kimberly Madison. I'm a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, and I use social media to present my life as a case study, particularly because all the things that we need to do in entrepreneurship are not taught in class or the clinic. And so I'm just here as your virtual mentor, sharing what I learned along the way. So hopefully you can do things quicker, faster, more efficiently than I was able to do them and get your life started a whole lot cheaper and with more satisfaction, less stress and less debt, and with more partnerships too. So every week I come on live on the weekend on YouTube. This is my second week in a row trying to be consistent with the timing. So 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. This is part of my Nurse Practitioner Entrepreneur Diary series. So each week I just do this weekly update. And I started back in December doing Vlogmas, which is when you vlog every day in December leading up to Christmas. I think I think I would probably give myself a 85. I don't think I made it all the way to the 25 videos, but it was a wonderful kickstart to getting my channel off the ground. And in that time, I've talked about different professional organizations. I reviewed my camera that I never use on here, lighting, equipment, and then just my life on a week-to-week basis. So we're coming up almost a year for December when I started this channel, but 1 year as a working NP because I've had my licensure and certification for 5 years. So yeah, I come on here weekly, and every week we have an agenda where we go over kind of the same points like wellness, and some of the things I have going on. And then there's an overarching topic. And so we'll get into that. So what I'm going to switch it up a little bit. We'll read from the devotional, then we'll go into the main topic for the people who come here just for that. And for those of you who are weekly viewers and you are interested in the week-to-week play-by-play, then you can stick around for that. So let me grab it. I thought about reading this from this daily devotion, from the Daily Bread too. We might start doing that next week. Oh, you know what? Next week I'm moving like on Sunday, so I'm not. I need to pick another time to chat with y'all. Maybe Friday. I have a wonderful interview with President, Founder, and CEO of DNPs of Color, Dr. Danielle McCamey. She's going to come on and talk about the upcoming conference in why can't I ever think about in Philly. And so I know I'll be sitting down at the camera then. On Saturday, me and the girls are filming a whole bunch of episodes for the Melanin Initiative podcast. We're sitting with Dr. Bentol. She's going to come talk to us about her daughters who started their own hair care line, Kid Naturals. Her business, which is Bentol's Leadership Academy Institute, to help nurses through navigating through management and leadership. And Tiffany Young Lewis is going to talk to us about pregnancy loss awareness and infertility. We've been putting out a call for infertility specialists. She's one of the first people to answer that call. So really looking forward to that. And then that's where we'll start our weight loss. So I mentioned last week that the three of us are embarking on a weight loss journey. So we're going to film our befores this Saturday, but in the spring we'll come back and do an afters, edit it all together, and then that will be an episode in itself. So looking forward to. They don't know I'm even doing anything because I don't think they watch these videos either, and so it'll be kind of a surprise for them too. And then over the summer, there is a group called Black Health Connect. They had a conference, and at the end of the conference, they had a free community health fair, and we went and volunteered there. We met a bunch of people, including an NP student who wants us to mentor her. And so it's taken quite a bit of time, but we're finally going to be able to meet in person. So we'll see her after that. So I know that's going to be a busy day. So I think Friday, probably either before or after Danielle's video, will be the best time. When I have a better idea, I'll put out a message on social media. If you're not really familiar with the YouTube platform, in addition to these long form videos like I'm making now, you can do your shorts, which are like those short videos, but there's also like a community section where you can just put up what's like a post, like a static image with a caption. A lot of people will use that as an opportunity to say, to make announcements about their channel. And so that's where I've been putting my announcements about when I'm going live. And so it'll be there. And then I'll probably be on my other platforms talking about it too, so you can join me. But yeah, I think we'll do the Daily Bread another time. Look at how big this is. They're usually pretty small, but a patient's wife gave me that one. And I actually like this size a lot. So now we're in October. And so if you don't know, we read this book every week. It's called Jesus Calling for Medical Professionals by Sarah Young. I keep saying I'm going to find out who Sarah is, but I haven't done that just yet. And so this book is actually not chronological order. So this is our next passage. It's titled Learn to Let Go. This is a time in your life when you must learn to let go of loved ones, of possessions, of control. In order to let go of something that is precious to you, you need to rest in my presence, where you are complete. Take time to bask in the light of my love. As you relax, more and more, your grasping hand gradually opens up, releasing your prized possession into my care. You feel secure, even in the midst of cataclysmic changes, through awareness of my continual presence. The one who never leaves you is the same one who never changes. I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. As you release more and more things into my care, remember that I never let go of your hand. Herein lies your security, which no one and no circumstance can take away from you. And then we have 3 scriptures. Blessed are those who have learned to acclaim you, who walk in the light of your presence, O Lord. Psalms 89, verse 15. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. Isaiah 41, verse 13. And then lastly, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that comes from Hebrews 13, verse 8. Amen. Okay, so today we're going to talk about my 1-year anniversary. And then we'll probably do labs because I think that's a fun one too. Or we'll start. When we do wellness, we'll get into that. So my 1-year anniversary. So of course there are a lot of lessons to learn, and I think I briefly went over them last week in terms of like how it was in the beginning. So in the very beginning, as I mentioned, especially when you're in orientation, doesn't matter what setting it is, when you have someone else kind of showing you the ropes, you're following their schedule and you're doing what they tell you, your brain is really not working. And so you're kind of protected from the actual stress and responsibility of the day-to-day operations and kind of like how that impacts you mentally and physically. And it isn't until you finish that really the learning actually really increases rapidly, but also that you really get a sense of what it is you signed up for. And so I definitely felt that way once I finished orientation, which was a month long, and then I was on my own, which started in November. And at this point, only thing I can really remember is the anxiety, which was a 10. And that took me a while to figure out, though. I was using words like feeling overwhelmed. And no, at first I didn't know at first I was calling it the transition. And then someone said, oh, do you think you're feeling overwhelmed? And I was like, no, no, no. But then I thought, well, considering the last time I started a new job, because I don't really consider being a traveler like a new job, I didn't feel any anxiety about that. I would say it had probably been since I was a baby nurse that I felt those same feelings, and it had been over a decade, so I didn't remember them. But eventually I was like, yes, I think actually that is correct. What I'm feeling is overwhelmed. I know it's part of the transition. This is temporary. And so I was really pretty consistent with talking about it and expressing how I was feeling. So me and my mom started using the feelings chart. My dad started using it with me. We still use it to this day to help me express myself. And I think as nurses, we're pretty good about talking about it. But I think there's just it's a bit of a learning curve on figuring out when to talk about it and how much to talk about it. Because after I've lived it, I kind of don't want to talk about it anymore. Like I don't want to relive it. But if I am going to relive it, I'll talk about it probably with just one person, get it all out, and probably be done at that point. That's just me. And then in December, two things happened. I was doing some social media posts for diversity in dermatology on seasonal affective disorder, and I had done maybe 2 or 3 of them, and by the time I got to the 3rd one, I was like, "This is me." Like, I realized it was me, and so in a lot of those captions, I'm really talking to myself in those captions. And then when I look back, I think I go through that every year because of the change of the seasons, and so I'm really curious to see, how it impacts me this year now that I'm more aware and very mindful. So like I said, I am in the process of moving. Once I get settled, that is at the top of my list is to get a therapist. And so I will keep you updated on that and also how my emotions change over the next couple months. And then in that same month, that's when I started this channel. So you can go back and you can see when I look at those videos, first of all, you'll see the difference in the laptop resolution quality, as well as my camera, which I'll have a little bit of time off work here soon. I really, 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 really want to learn how to use this camera to stream live because I see the feature. And I tried it once, but it wasn't as simple as plugging in. So that's why I need to do a little background. I did find a video I can watch. So I'm hoping once I watch that video, I'll know how to do it and I can use it because I think the image quality is beautiful. I'm looking forward to having a new backdrop, like a real backdrop. You wouldn't, it looks like I'm in the corner, but there's actually a whole bunch of other things over here. Now it's a bunch of boxes, but um, yeah, there'll be probably a lot of plants. I'm a plant lady. Um, so anyway, when I look back at those videos, I can see how tired I was. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep because I'm trying to balance, working 5 days a week, day shift, East Coast, new responsibilities, new charting system, new company, new patients, new diagnoses, new diseases, from a different perspective, not brand new completely. So it was just, and then all my outside projects and building a business and a brands that I was trying to do. And so when I look back there, I can see my workout wasn't consistent. My water was not consistent. Um, so yeah, we had all those changes. Um, went through all that, went through even the nurses I was working with, we were still building that cohesiveness as a team. So it was a lot. And then there's the holidays, that always impacts your patient census and the acuity and the staffing availability because people go out for vacation and holiday. So yeah, it was intense. And the fact that I'm literally on video every single day through that is crazy. But you can go back, you can see those videos, you can let me know what you think. So then we're into the new year and slowly starting to get a groove, building rapport, getting a schedule, still struggling with the wellness aspects. By March, I want to say I was starting to get a groove in terms of speed with documenting. But then we made some changes to how we do our billing and coding. So that slowed me down again because then I had to take my time with each chart to make sure I crossed all my T's and dotted every I. So then when I thought I figured it out, then they started sending me people to orient. So that's always going to take more time out of your day. Then I had some trips back to back. So now we're into May. And that's when I finally was able to start making some appointments, try getting my primary care appointment. I was overdue. I was supposed to see her that January, December, January mark. I did make it to the dentist. I did make it to the dermatologist. My dermatology PA, shout out to Leah Waller out in Reston. And I went to the eye doctor. Those are some easy appointments I could do. The primary care one always stresses me out because I have so many risk factors that I always get really anxious about that appointment. Ever since NP school. Before that, I didn't think twice about it. But after NP school, just like nursing school, once you start learning about all those things, you start thinking you have all of them. And so I know in the nursing school, I kept thinking I had blood clots all the time. And in P school, just learning about everything that happens to the body and the treatments that are required to manage them and the side effects and monitoring required with that, it just took my anxiety to a whole nother level. And so leading up to primary care appointments, I get a lot of anxiety. Um, so I finally booked that appointment in June, but then I guess maybe she went on vacation or something because they canceled me. And I was finally able to make that appointment 2 weeks ago now and like make it and be there. So I'm a pulmonologist. So I've seen everyone except I still need to get a new orthodontist, a new gynecologist, which will probably be a women's health NP. That's what I had before. And I loved her. So we'll probably do that one again. Of course, the therapist. And Leah wants me to go see an allergist for my atopic dermatitis. And so that is on my list too. And then it'll be time to start the year over again. And I am due for a mammogram. So I have that order. And we'll take care of that after I get moved into my new place. And so that's those aspects. And then I think in terms of the lesson, the biggest lesson I learned is that in so much of our education and training, the focus is always about patient care. And we pride ourselves on providing patient-centered care. And it's very important. But in light of my experience in the last year, having been doing this now for 15 years, and seeing how providing that care adds up over time, and then when that responsibility increases, how heavier it feels. So now my perspective is like, yes, I still want to provide patient-centered care. Absolutely, right? And I love my job. I love patients. I love taking care of them. I love educating them. I love the industry, even though it has its areas that need to be improved, and all of those things are true. But for me, at this point in my career, right, where I'm at, what I've experienced, what I've learned, what I've contributed, what I've given, what I've sacrificed, what I'm still sacrificing, what I'm still paying back in every way. For me, it's like I think when we're taught about patient-centered care, it's about giving everything, all your attention, all your time, everything you know. If you don't know, go find someone, like always going, right? You're just kind of always going. But for me, it's like if I give everything to my patient, then at the end of the day, I have nothing left. And that's how a lot of the first part of the year went. I would say to myself, I have reached my capacity. I can't take in any more information, any more stimulations, sounds, sights, smells, lighting. Like I felt full, couldn't take anything else in. And it affected my sleep, it affected my mental health, it affected my relationship. And so for me, it's like I can't give everything, right? Because if I give everything, I don't have anything left for myself and I don't have anything left to give my family. And that's not fair to me or to my family. And it's like, how can one, I take care of myself if there's nothing left? And how can I love on my family and tell them, oh, I don't have it. I'm not, I'm tired. I'm not available. I can't do that. But then they see and hear me give everything to these strangers, right? Patients are essentially strangers in the beginning, and even to a certain extent, we really only know so much about them, but then have nothing to give them, right? Isn't that why we're doing all of this anyway, is to give to our family to create the life that we dream of? And so it's my belief that we can, even if we don't give everything and we hold back a little bit for ourselves and our family, but we all do that, and everyone on the team continues to do their role, then the patient will still get patient-centered care and they will still get the best care if everyone does their job. Even though they're not giving 100% of themselves to the patient, you have a plethora of people who are participating. That patient's going to be well cared for, well educated, well informed, and protected. And so that's the biggest lesson I walked away with in the last year. And it's just, how do you do that though? It comes with setting boundaries, which I've talked about throughout the year and I talk about with my colleagues. I've been orienting quite a bit lately. And it's like, you can identify things in your day where it's like, yes, I could make this call, I could make this recommendation. I document that I made the recommendation, and it's technically somebody else's responsibility. If I choose to continue to follow that through, make sure they make it here, make sure this happens, so and so gets called, da 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 da. I can do all those things, right? If I choose to, but if I just make the recommendation, I document it, talk to the people who are necessary. That also is me giving the best care, right? And so you can write really lengthy, detailed notes, or you can get to the point and make sure that whoever reads it is going to get a good understanding of the patient, your thought process, the treatment plan, and what evaluation you're looking for or problems you think need to be addressed. All of that can all be done different ways. And by setting those boundaries and deciding how much you're going to give, also reflects how much time and energy and mental capacity you're also giving. So just look at what you're doing on a daily basis and figure out where you can set those boundaries so that you still have time for yourself. If you have a work phone, maybe it's choosing the hours of the day and even the week and weekend on when you're going to check it, right? And if you set those precedents and you communicate with people who are on your team, who are part of that communication link, they'll respect it, right? And you also get an opportunity to set an example because whether they work with you, for you, they're a patient or a caregiver, you can set an example on how to care for themselves, how to care for other people by caring for yourself. So, out of the whole year, that's my biggest lesson. It's one that's really come in the last 2 months. I would say the most recent one is realizing how much of a role I can play in my caregiver and patient's journey. So the first one is immediately up front, give them the tools and the education to empower them to participate and not just assume, well, we kind of already know what they don't know, but really taking that literally and and actually telling them this is what you can do, this is how you can do it, this is why I do it, listening to their pain points and their challenges and say, look, I empathize with that, I've been there, especially caregivers, right? And maybe they're the only one and they're trying to figure out, how do I do it all by myself? And I can share my experiences someone caring for someone, certainly in the hospital setting, when you're short staffed. How do you manage that? This is how I did it. Look, I understand how you feel, and why I would like to say these things can change. Uh, that there's room for improvement, and there's things that can be done. It's probably not going to happen the next day, next 2 weeks, next 2 months, next 5 years. So in the meantime, this is what I did, this is what you could do. So upfront, and what the way I like to frame it is, this is what my other patients like to know. This is what my other families tend to ask. This is what they want to know. And I let them know a few things in that. One, it's not an order. I'm not dictating how they should be, right? I'm sharing like, oh, you're not alone. This is how other people have felt. This is the questions they've had. These are the things that have come up that you're going to face. And this is how other people have handled it. And so I find that to be really, really helpful. And it was just insight that I got from the families that I talk to and take care of, and comparing one family who I've been with for a few months now and a new family coming in and realizing like, oh, there's a lot I could actually help them with right now, and taking the time to get that information. And then on the other end, once they've been doing it, really encourage them and acknowledge what their contributions, and give them a lot of um affirmation, because I just find that patients and caregivers, especially, just want to know that they're doing the right thing, right? They always will say things like, I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor, and they always keep mentioning all these areas where they lack. And I always like to emphasize how those are where all their areas of strength lie. Because even though we're medical professionals, we have all this education and training, we're still not their family. There's still some things that only they can do. And it's a really big piece to this puzzle. And we need them to do these things. Um, and so, yeah, so it's upfront giving them that education and empowering them to act on it. And also, I'm very mindful on how to ask for what they need respectfully, right? Because you get way more with honey than you do with vinegar, especially when you're trying to interact with a staff who's very stressed. So it's being able to understand both sides of that relationship. And then remembering that throughout that journey, that just like in our personal relationships, patients and their loved ones need affirmation. Something that I too learned over this year was a big piece, how much I need affirmation. If you're familiar with the Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman, very popular book. I think if he hasn't sold billions, he's definitely sold millions. He was recently on a podcast that I watched, and I guess I never really thought about it, but he's like 85, looks great. He still travels and speaks all over the place. And he's written like 50 different books. I've read a handful of them. The Five Languages is probably the most popular one. And you can take a quiz. It used to be free. I don't know if it's still free. And it will tell you all your love languages. And I know specifically that positive affirmations was not one of my top ones, but it has become one in the last year. And maybe it was just because there were so many new things I was trying to accomplish, and I just needed to be affirmed that I was doing the right thing. Even though I have all this, and that's what I tell people who I orientate now, even though you're new, even though you're coming with all this experience, new is new. And every time we do something new, we need to build up our confidence. And so when people can affirm us and validate our experience, it helps along the way. And I realized that and needing that personally, but also our patients and their families can benefit from that too. So that's my big lesson for the year. I would love to hear yours, whether you're a new nurse, a new whatever. Maybe you're in a new relationship, maybe you're a new parent in a new role. Yeah, what's been your biggest lesson, or what was your biggest lesson at that time? Um, and it's really interesting when you are making that transition that first year, when you keep looking back on your previous stage, because it can really shape how you move forward. So what I always like to compare this to is like, so you've been a nurse at the bedside for over a decade like I was. And then so that's like being a senior in high school. You're at the top, everybody knows you, you have seniority. Then you move on to the next level, which is this collegiate level. So yes, you're in a new ballpark, right? You're in the major leagues or the minors, I don't know, but you're still a freshman, right? And so coming from that senior position into the freshman level gives you a lot of perspective on what it means to be the learner and what it means to be the teacher. And I realized, like, when you reach that senior level, a lot of things you look over, like the details of it, because now you're kind of on an automatic pilot. And so you think about all the big picture stuff. But when you're little and you're coming in as the freshman, all the little things have to make sense before you can get to the big picture. And when we're in that senior position and we're in a position of teaching and authority, sometimes we overlook those things. And so we don't give them enough time and attention. And I think that's a lot of why imposter syndrome is so prevalent at that stage in particular, because you don't know what you don't know. And the people around you who you think should know everything also don't know what you don't know, but especially because you don't know what to ask and they don't know that you're not asking it. And so, yeah, that's been my perspective. And so it's really shaped the way I orient and precept people. And I spend more time really, we certainly go over the clinical aspect and diagnosis, treatment, evaluation, billing, rapport, communication, all those things, right? But I spend a lot of attention and detail on the management of their documenting of their life, their time management, have incredible resources at their disposal, like all those other little things that take up so much time and aren't necessarily in the human resources file, right? Because even you have to still find the human resources file. Someone can tell you all these things exist, all these resources are available. Just like on the internet, you go to YouTube University and you think, oh, they're giving away information for free. Even still, people can have all that information and they still don't know where to start. And once they start, they still don't know if they're doing it right. Once you tell them they're doing it right, they want to make sure they want to keep hearing that they're doing it right. And when they come across problems, they want to have you guide them through those problems. And so I'm really grateful for this year, what it's taught me, my perspective, how it's helped me evolve, how it's supported my dreams outside of practice, and all the people who played a huge role from even outside of my colleagues and my company. I remember this time, a little bit this time last year, or maybe 2 years ago now, I can't remember. But it was this time of the year, like a fall, and I was talking about my imposter syndrome with one of my DNP of color colleagues, and she mentors for, that's one of her businesses. She mentors people, and she was kind enough to get in my ear for free and really help boost my confidence at that time, and it was needed. Um, and it was just in casual conversation. And so that's why I really can't emphasize how important it is to be part of professional organizations to get that mentorship that you need. So that's my message for my 1 year anniversary. Thank you so much for helping me celebrate. I hope you got something out of it. And I'm so glad I documented that journey and that I can go back and watch it, but that it's just here for you too. And if you happen to know a nurse or NP who's in that phase, certainly I would appreciate if you share it with me. And if there's anything I can do to support them, I would be more and more than happy to do that. So let's get into it. So let's do wellness. So sleep, since I've been talking to you about my sleep and really trying to be on top of it, this has been the best week. I don't know how many days I got that were like 6 plus. Um, but more of the day most of the days were 6 plus. There might have been one day that was a 5, but it's been phenomenal. Even last night was really good. I think I even woke up early. I think I even woke up before my alarm. So now the thing is like trying to s stay asleep and not think like, "Oh, I need to get up. I need to start doing stuff." So yeah, happy about that. Happy about the sleep hygiene. So I saw another video this week, someone talking about the importance of sleep. And I have to say it's helped big time in my, weight loss. I had lost about probably 4 or 5 pounds, and I would attribute most of that to be fluid. My body holds onto fluid really easily. I can look at a bag of chips and boom, whereas other people, they can eat the whole bag and nothing happens, but for me, that's not the case, and I attribute that a lot to the sleep, not just the hours, but also the bedtime. Very important is the bedtime, particularly before midnight. And then the water intake's been phenomenal. I am about to buy, it's called like a hydro jug. I'm gonna be buying one of those, but in the meantime, I have one is a 40 ounce, one's a 42-ounce water bottle. I'm taking both of those to work. One's filled with a juice and the other one's filled with water. So this week for juice, I had green juice in the first part of the week, and then I had golden beets the second part. It has other stuff in it besides the golden beets, but, the greens take a little bit longer to juice, and so I like to do that in the front part of the week, and then in the middle of the week, the beets, they don't take any time at all, and so they're ready to get juiced, and I can, finish out the week like that. So I've been staying super hydrated. I would attribute the sleep and the hydration the most to the weight loss, even though I have been consistent with my working out. But I would say because I've been working out the whole time, and yet I still was really struggling to lose weight until I made those key changes. So happy about that. I got a question about acne, and so I referred her. So someone referred her to me. I'm referring her to a PA friend of mine out here at National Harbor, actually. And so the referral has atopic derm and acne, so she'll be going to her at the end of the week. But in the meantime, we were talking about over-the-counter treatments, and the main thing I just want to emphasize when it comes to acne, if you're not familiar, is even though it's a very common thing, well, first of all, I think a lot of times we associate acne with adolescence or being a teenager. And it's important to know that many people continue to experience acne in their 20s, 30s, and some may even trickle into their 40s. And so there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong you're doing. It's quite common. Number of reasons why it could be happening. And so you're not alone. That's part one. Step part two is though, even though it's very common and even though it's on the skin, which, uh, doesn't always get prioritized, the skin, right? We still want to be aggressive about acne so we can avoid scarring and things like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And so we talked about the importance of establishing a really good skin barrier, which starts with having a solid skincare regimen. That doesn't mean it has to be expensive or even complicated, but it needs to be specific to your skincare needs, not someone you see on social media, and also something you can realistically keep up with. Your consistency will have a lot to do with that. Of course, the most important ingredient in your regimen is going to be sunscreen. And then, if you have the means and the desire, you certainly can go see a provider who can give you a really good regimen, address other medical issues like atopic derm, and you can get higher concentrations when it comes to those treatments. But if you don't have the means or you have a long wait time, there are some really good over-the-counter products. I use quite a few of them myself. And so there are options for everyone. So yeah. Social media. So last week I told you to set up your LinkedIn profile, to go to ChatGPT, tell it what you wanted to say, and that you could have this done within 30 seconds. Put in a professional picture, update your education and employment section if you choose to. And that's something you could do last Sunday. So I have to say that I'm not just going to tell you what to do, I'm going to do it myself because I had my about section filled out earlier this year when I first really kind of became active on LinkedIn, but it hasn't been updated in a while. And so I figured now's a good time. So I went and used AI yesterday and updated it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to touch bases with you and let you know I'm not just telling you what to do, I'm doing it myself. And then, did we have another social media? Oh, so the other social media lesson, I filmed 2 episodes with someone, really great episodes that I wanted to come out today on the podcast, but the footage is deleted. And so the biggest lesson from that now is I'll be downloading all my files immediately after recording. It is the best advice I can give you is not to trust the platform. While it does a great job of storing things for you, nothing's better than having your own storage set up. And so I use an external device because MP3 files, so audio files and video files consume a lot of storage. And so something like this will be super, super helpful. And so that's my new thing now. I filmed a new video on Friday with Justin Love. He's a Derm PA out in Florida. I met him this summer at the Elevate Derm East Conference in Boston that I filmed every single day there, giving you an update on each day's events. And he was kind enough to come on and talk to me about pediatric atopic dermatitis. He gave us a brief summary of his own journey, and after we filmed, we talked a little bit more. And so I cannot wait to have him back and dedicate a whole episode to his journey because he started off as a respiratory therapist. And yeah, just his insights and stuff that he was talking about, his thought process and why he took that route and what he would do differently if he had to start over. And so I was like, "Ooh, we need to talk about this much longer and on a broader platform." And so probably the calendar's full right now for the year. So we'll have him back on in the new year. And I have a few mentees. One of them is a pre-PA student. And so I'm thinking I would love for her to come on that episode. I think it would be really helpful for her. And he already talks to some pre-PA students. And so I know he would probably be down for it. He works with Elevate Derm, so he helps them. So definitely go follow him. I'll put his information in the description box actually, and tell him I sent you. Yesterday was his daughter's birthday. Um, let's do it right here. And so today we dropped a new video with Ashley Wynn-Grimes. She's a nurse out here in Maryland. And she talked to us about really nice, like a really good foundational understanding of medical cannabis. and like her business and the services she offers. And she was also kind enough to give us a glimpse into her nursing journey, which I think that nurse who I was talking about, so the person who has acne that I was talking to, they're a nurse. And she had mentioned a few things that Ashley encountered in her journey that made her go in the direction that she did, which was she has a master's in education and she went the master's route or the leadership route in terms of her professional experience. And yeah, when I just think the nurse I was talking to yesterday would really appreciate her episode, and any others of you um, who are on the fence about what direction to go next. And she said something. Oh, when I was talking to that nurse yesterday, she was saying how she's thinking about NP and CRNA and education. And that goes with my theory that we're typically interested in the things we're exposed to. When you spend your whole life in school, of course, you're exposed to teachers, professors, so you think, oh, that's an option. When you are in the healthcare setting, you see providers, oh, NP, that's an option. But if you don't see anything else, if you don't go anywhere else, if you don't get exposed to anything else and intentionally look for it, then you don't know all your options. And so there's that. And actually, while I'm talking to you guys, okay, so that's my plug for getting involved in professional organizations and not just paying your membership, but actually taking on a role so that you can be exposed to much wider industry and people and connections and opportunities and ideas. And even if, let's say, sometimes the roles are like secretary or treasurer, and you might say, oh, I've never done that before. I don't think I have what it takes. Well, when you get in that role, typically they will support you, give you what you need, and you can figure it out. Sometimes they just need someone who's dedicated, not necessarily someone who's experienced. It's through your work that you'll become experienced, and hopefully you'll, um, take it on yourself to learn too while you're in the role. So don't count yourself out. So we know we have the virtual preceptor shop. That is the name of my Etsy shop. It's a well, my merch shop because it won't always be on Etsy. And it's kind of a placeholder for some other ideas in the future, but you can go there and see the newest editions, which is From Bedside to Dermatology, a step-by-step guide for nurses. We have the Nurse Practitioner, the Dermatology Nurse Practitioner Starter-Kit. That, and by starter-kit, that's exactly what it is, to get you started, so you don't have to Google your life away. I know you're busy working, you're studying, you're taking care of your family, or trying to start a family. And so you don't have time to watch every YouTube video. You don't have time to search every Google website. So this is going to get you started, get you learning today, get you signed up, organized, and networking. And once that happens, you'll continue to make progress. And then you'll know what questions to ask, what kind of support you need, as opposed to where you might be now, which is not knowing anything except maybe watching a few reels on social media. This week I announced, so two things happened this week. Even though I think I've already told you all that I was invited to be on the editorial advisory board for the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology's NP PA Perspectives in Dermatology, which is their supplement. The announcement was this month because it was coming out for their September. It's a quarterly supplement. So the new quarterly supplement came out in September, and it coincided perfectly with my announcement for the Mahogany Telederm Nurse Internship. The application runs from October 1st to December 15th. That's so that if you are in school, hopefully that gives you enough time to put together the application after finals and before the holidays. The internship itself will run from January 6th to December 6th, 2025. You have to have an active nursing license or be a student enrolled in a nursing program at the time of your application and in good standing. Demonstrate availability. Have a strong interest in dermatology and research. What we'll be doing, you're going to be helping me a lot with going through the latest evidence, collecting data so we can put out articles. Depending on your status, I would love for you to be able to be listed as an author on those articles. Um, We'll talk about marketing, social media, branding. You have the opportunity to put together presentations, and if you want, you can give those presentations. And all of these opportunities can go on your CV and start boosting not only your CV, but your knowledge about the industry, trends, practice, and opportunity. The application itself requires verification of your medical license, student enrollment. You have to submit a personal essay as well as a sample of your writing. And so it's a dermatology focused article. If you already have one, you can submit that. If not, I put criteria and what I want to see in that article. You don't have to be an expert in writing. I just want to see your effort, right? When I can, certainly help you through that. If you're trying to fill out the application and you have an article that you want to work on and you have questions about it, you can just let me know. And everyone who submits their article for the internship, if you want, even if you're not selected, we can put it on the Mahogany Dermatology blog with your picture and your bio. So yeah, all the details will be in the description box along with the link to apply. The application itself is a Google form. So if you don't have a Google account, but you do want to participate, just message me directly through the blog and I'll send you an alternative route to submit your documents. There'll be two people selected, one from the United States and one from the continent of Africa. So if you have connections over there, feel free to share this information with them. Um, and yeah, this will give us an opportunity to network and connect more globally. So yeah, that's the internship. DMD Dermatology NPPA group. We have our Friendsgiving coming up in November. That's a Thursday on the 21st at 7 p.m. We'll be right here in Old Town Alexandria, right around the holiday season. Old Town itself is already super cute if you've never been there, but certainly in the that's this part of the year, it's going to be really, really festive with the lights and the wreaths and the decorations and all the shops and all the people. And so I think it's going to serve as a beautiful backdrop for a group photo because I want us to all wear white or something close to it. Our speaker is going to be a good friend of mine, Shayna Moranti. She's a dermatology PA. She's going to fly here from Naples, Florida, and give us a wonderful talk. We're still deciding on the topic, but she has so many options on who on the sponsor because she speaks for a lot of companies. She has over 20 years of experience. She's a phenomenal speaker. She's done everything, you name it. She's always in my inbox because she's either doing a presentation, a video, an article. She works with I just packed it up. It's a new journal for dermatology NP and PAs, particularly those of us in the beginning of our career. She's part of that. And so she's a busy lady. She's a busy mama. I want to say she has 4 children. She's always flying somewhere speaking. She still is in clinical practice. And aside from all of that, she's just super nice and sweet and generous. It was her idea to even do these I would like my idea of our in-person meetings was gonna be a handful of us going to dinner and chatting, and that was it. Because that's what I did when I was on the board for the Nurse Practitioner Association of DC. We would have our every other month, we would have meetings. They would be sponsored, by the organization, and so they were pretty casual. Sometimes we have speaking, a professional speaker come and talk about particular topics. That was like my reference point. Yeah, but Shanna gave us this really great idea and she offered to help us and she connected us with our cutest and she agreed to come up herself and give a presentation. So really it's a blessing for us and for me. And yeah, you're just going to love her. So hopefully you can attend. If you know someone else who might be interested, certainly you can share the link with them. From now on, all our events, you can sign up for them as well as be added to the email notification list through our email and events list. There's a section on there where you can put what you want. I'll double check that, make sure it's a fill in the blank so you can type as much as you need to. We have our Facebook page. That's where we make decisions, where we pick our restaurants, where you vote on things. People ask questions about practice and in personal life. And that's where I met our Blacksburg advisor, Caleb, our Richmond advisor, Derek. They're helping me grow the group out there. We're in the middle of planning their first meet and greets. And then we have our new sister group, DERM NPs and PAs of Atlanta, where your advisor is Allie. She is a MP student at Emory, and it was her birthday this weekend. So join me in wishing her happy birthday in the comments. She's going to help us expand the group out there. And I really love that she's going to get this opportunity as a student because, when we look at our physician colleagues in med school, they have requirements to participate in research, to get published, to take on leadership positions, and they're super busy, right? And yet they still find the time to get it done. I think because it's ingrained in the culture and it's mandatory to be competitive, right? But in nursing, that's lacking. And so through Allie, I'm really going to be experimenting. Like, is it possible to be active outside of nursing and still be successful? And so we're going to kind of go at her pace as a nursing student. And I'm going to use that and study that to see how we can create these opportunities for nurses. And so, yeah, I want it to be where it's manageable for her, but that she also gets something out of it too, right? And yeah, she just has a phenomenal background. She's really driven, really dedicated, very mature young lady, and so really excited to work with her and see what we can do out there in Georgia. And we already have we have a few people who signed up. If you don't know, your medical license has to be approved for you to get in, and if you're a student, then that needs to be verified also before you can get in. And then so in-person events for students will be limited for the DMV group. Any sponsored event has to be limited students because they want to talk to people who can write prescriptions. And so once we start getting our first students signing up, we create a wait list, and then if they're not able to, we'll contact the next person and so on. But so two things. When January, once we start having we're going to start having monthly virtual grand rounds, me and Caleb, and we're going to be meeting soon to start planning those out and getting those ready for you all. And the way I like to describe those is like you go to class, right? You have your professor, so you still go get your comprehensive education somewhere. And we all have taken programs. We're all in programs right now. Um, but then after that, you still have to go to get it. You still have to go to tutoring or study hall. And so the way we picture these virtual grand rounds is like study hall. So you're going to take what you've heard, and now you're going to interpret it and use your own words. Talk about how you would make sense of it, how you explain it to your patient, how you address problems, how you overcome obstacles, what resources you use, how are you organized, what are some time management tips you can use. So all of that kind of stuff that's not really in the textbook and part of the lecture, but that you encounter on a daily basis. And so it's certainly going to be new for our new providers. And if you're an experienced provider and maybe you also work in a silo or you haven't felt that supported, or you want to just lend and share your expertise, then you might find that this is also really beneficial for you too. If you want to lead some of the presentations, that's an opportunity. If you want to start speaking and you want to, you're not ready for the big stage yet, or you don't want the big stage, you just want little and intimate settings like this, then let me know. Um, Oh, yeah. So another benefit of joining the group besides the networking, because dermatology is a very small field, and the best way to know what's going on and to get your first job is to be part of the field and networking. And so so that is one benefit for sure, and to not feel alone. But also, we have our new partnership with NP Hub, and so they offer two things for our students. It allows you to get a discount when you sign up to find to find a preceptor. You get $100 off, and then if you're a preceptor and you sign up under our group, you can get paid. And so that link is in the description box too. And shout out to Dr. Joseph De Vieira, who's was instrumental in this partnership and has been super supportive of the group and everything that we have going on. Has a phenomenal nursing journey. We'll have him on the podcast in the new year to come on and talk about that. Upcoming events, we have Diversity in Dermatology. We'll have our annual conference in Louisville, Kentucky, March 27th through the 30th. We'll be staying at the Marriott. Our agenda is live. It's 4 days packed of information. So if you've never been to a conference, so you have lectures that are where you'll get CEs. And then you also have pharmaceutical companies who also do their own lectures. You don't get CEs for those lectures. You'll see some of your NPPA friends up there giving those lectures. Um, and then you'll go into the exhibit hall where you have all the different companies they have a booth, and they tell you about their medication. You learn about the reps. If let's say the conference is in Kentucky, so the reps might be local to that part of the country. But if you say, "Oh, look, I'm from the DMV area. I'm from Atlanta," they'll say, "Oh, I'll get you in touch with my rep out there," and that's another way to make connections. In the evening, we have different receptions. We always have our Achieve Program reception, which is for our Achieve Program participants, which is our 12-month online didactic program for NPs and PAs in their first 3 years of dermatology to build their medical dermatology foundation, which for purists, we believe that the base of dermatology, well, the real foundation is internal medicine. You really have to have a good understanding there. So wherever you are in your journey, that's where your attention should go. Once you have done a really good job of that, then you can build on that or simultaneously your medical derm foundation, and then the sky's the limit. That experience will give you the experience you need to do surgical and cosmetic. Whereas if you're coming in with only one of those, it might be better if you're comparing to someone who doesn't have any experience, but just having surgical or cosmetic doesn't necessarily always meet the criteria for having experience. And so the Achieve program gives you that. You get a free textbook. There's an application with a fee attached, but the good news is we now have rolling admission, so you can apply at any time, whereas before it was once a year. And so we're really excited to offer you that and to usher in more people. You have alternating, so you have an online set of resources, including lectures that you can do on demand, and then you'll have live sessions that alternate with our dermatologists who are faculty, and then our mentors who are NP and PAs. I'm one of those mentors. We're in the processing of assigning you all to each one of us so we can take you in and create those more personal connections. Um, and like I said, at the end, you get invited to the conference, you get a discount on the registration, you get a certificate, which I showed last week. You get a pin, and of course, this ad gets added to your CV to boost your chances of getting, that whatever you're looking for, whether it's a job or more experience or more competence, because you certainly can be further into your journey and still feel like you need a good foundation. Because I have heard from some practicing providers, they've been in the job for more than a year, and they still feel like their confidence still needed to be built a lot. And I know a good friend of mine who's been in practice a lot years, but even then they still never really had the support they needed. And so even they still feel like they've been figuring it out on their own. And I really don't want anyone to have to figure it out on their own when there's so many resources available. So that we love the Achieve program. So that's one of our receptions. We also we'll be at Churchill Downs. So this is a great opportunity to really get decked out and put on your best outfits and do really fun stuff. I can't wait to see. One of a good supporter of DID is Kendra Joseph. She's a PA out in New York, and she has fashion sense like no other. And so she really gets into it, and I cannot wait to see her outfit. Last year we had like a Mexican theme, Mexican fiesta. She had the cutest dress on, and so I know she's going all out for this one. I wanna go all out. Hold me to that. I don't wanna wait till the last minute and have very few choices. Hopefully, I can get it together and really do something fun. So that will be fun. That's Separation Dermatology. In addition to our annual conference and the Achieve program, we have webinars throughout the year. We have one coming up with Shayna, actually. And, then we do boot camps, which and I think it's the 5th. It was either yesterday or next Saturday. We have a hidradenitis suppurativa boot camp. So we have opportunities all year long for you to participate and join us. Remember, membership is free, and it's open to MDs, NPs, PAs, and residents and students. And then DMPs of color, we're going to be in Philly. You know what? Next week, I want to spend a little bit more time on talking to you about the benefits of membership. Because I know some of you are really, really busy, but you still want to be involved. And so luckily we have interest groups and we have core groups so that you can either participate a little bit or participate a lot. And it has been changed up a little bit where you have to kind of submit kind of like a little summary on how you're going to participate. And so I'm going to go through that today. And so next week I'll come back and share my experience. But all that information is in the description box. If you're here, say hello in the comments. That's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you for celebrating my 1 year with me. Let me know how I can support you, what you're celebrating, what you want to hear from me next week, which will likely be Friday. And I'll probably just answer your questions on Friday. You've all been so good about sending me in questions. And I have a list here too that I've been wanting to go through. I kind of went through the Achieve program pretty good. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I'll have time for this one, but yeah, we'll hold off on this one. I want to talk about temple injections, but we might talk about nursing school as a business to give you better perspective on what is your responsibility. So we'll say for now, next week we'll talk about nursing school as a business. That'll be a tentative topic. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.